place where the magic happens. Conversations flow and the laughter snapping. Here at Netter's Network, where the stories come alive. Every episode's a journey, every guest a drive. Netter's Network, tune in for the show, where the headlines meet the heart, and we all get to know. From the highs to the lows, we've got it all in tow. Netter's Network, where the world's on the go.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Netter's Network Thursday Things. My special guest today is Charlotte Nightstar, the Werewolf. But before we get started, let me introduce my co-host. You know him as that guy at the end of the bar, the love of my life, Troy Pacelli. How you doing tonight, sweetie? And what are you sipping on?
I'm doing great. I'm just having because this is pre-recorded and it's not evening. It's a little too early for an adult beverage. So I am...
Shh, you're supposed to pretend it's nighttime.
Oh, right. Because it's Thursday night. I'm having a zero sugar grapefruit soda.
Awesome. I just dropped my water all over my keyboard. That was unintentional. I was drinking a sparkling water lemon, and now it's all over my computer. Because apparently I'm a klutz.
You've got a drinking problem.
Yes, apparently I do. So, I think I'm okay.
Sparkling lemon water is what she's got.
Yeah.
Just to keep it moving.
It's now all over me, but okay. But my computer hasn't shut off, so I guess I didn't kill it. So good. So professional streamer.
As long as your camera keeps going, that's what's important, because I got the sound on mine, yes. No problem. All right.
Okay. Well, that was fun. And of course, my guest for tonight is Charlotte Nightstar. Tell me, Charlotte, what are you sipping on? And don't drop it.
Yeah.
Drinking a coffee. Iced coffee.
There you go.
Nice. Now, I know that you are a jack of all trades. You have been a loyal guest to our channels, and so I see you in the chat all the time. But I know that not a lot of people know a lot about what your channels are about. So that's what we're going to talk about. And like I said, I know that you are a jack of all trades. I know that you have some phenomenal music that I have heard. That's my favorite part. But I'd like you to tell us about, you have just the two channels, the music one and Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf?
No, Charlotte Nightstar. Well, no, I'm sorry. Let her talk.
Know your place, Troy.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf, that channel was my startup at first for watch-along live streams. And at that time, I was silent. Now I'm using my voice more. And then I started doing music with AI, which I was introduced to. I know people are very sensitive to AI music, thinking it takes away business from other actual musicians, but I do it for, the blueprint of it in case I want to do an actual band. But I use it as a way to expose my songwriting skills. So shout out to Lil Movie Perp, who introduced me to Suno and helped me with that. And so I started doing that. And then I just started doing other live streams, now I'm doing talk shows. But my other channel, AM Tennyson, that will be my author's channel. So I will be doing narrating of other, of my stories and stuff, and exposing my work with that, with my upcoming novel that I'm editing.
Awesome. I want to know more about that.
And by the way, a link to both of those channels as well as to her Patreon are in the description below. Please check those out.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I noticed that you do the same thing I do. When you can't get a word to come out properly, I do that too. I'll hit the side of my cheek to make my mouth behave.
Yeah. Yeah, just I just stutter a lot sometimes. So it's just like it just gets stuck. I just slap it.
So the type of music that you are creating, you said it's your own songwriting, but you're utilizing the AI music. So what is the genre that you are most excited to write about?
Ooh, that's a hard question because I'm excited for a lot of genres. I listen to a lot of genres, and I'm trying to experiment more with the platform. Usually, the one genre that really works out could be rock, but rock is being mean to me right now, so I don't know about that one. But sometimes more dance beats or whatever, and
Yeah,
so
I can
you
get
know,
into that.
yeah. I think that's my biggest hits were the dance hits. I was just like, that's weird. Like went up to 1K overnight, but
Nice.
I haven't gotten another hit since that time. But it was good, for that. So
I'll see. I like those type of songs because they're really great to like work out to too, or just having as good like background music when you're trying to like when I'm at work, I'll have music playing and it's usually something that's kind of rocking and it keeps me into a rhythm so that I'm working kind of along with it, if that makes sense.
hmm
And it just
yeah,
keeps me flowing. So I love that.
yeah. I always consider like workouts kind of like dancing in a way. If you get the
Yeah,
right beat,
exactly.
you're rhythming to it. It's nice.
Absolutely. And of course, there are some really good dance exercises that you can do out there. I've come across a few of them. Some of those moves I cannot do. I'm not that flexible or that coordinated. But yeah, it's like I love listening to music like that. So I'm definitely am going to have to make a playlist of your songs like that so that I can be jamming along with that as well.
Yeah.
Because that would be cool. So, what projects are you working on currently?
Well, right now, I'm working on editing my full length novel, my first one I want to publish on Amazon. It's a very complex novel for it to be my first. I would say inspirations that really led me into that novel was the Dune novels
Oh, okay.
and David Lynch. I loved how, in a way, those two influences managed to spark that feeling like you think on your own. Like they just make you think. Like every time after you read a section in the Dune series, it makes you think like, philosophically, what does that mean to you or whatever, or to anybody? And with David Lynch, you go after it. After you go for a viewing of a Lynch film, you're like, what the heck just happened? And then you just start to process it. And I think that's what I want to do with this novel that I'm writing, editing, is to make people actually think. And even though it's controversial to some degree, I do want people to think outside what they know and how they perceive it, how they interpret it. And I think with that book, I actually want to make the series for it. So I already have that planned. But
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
that's my intention with it.
Great. Can you give us a little bit of a more of a synopsis about it? Kind of what their appetite?
Whew. Well, I'll try hard not to spoil it. Let's see. So
Like,
it's
where
about
is
a
it set? Is it more like hero based or like is it more of a journey type of thing? Like you're saying like Dune?
yeah, it's like Dune with a journey. So it follows. Well, at first it follows a guy. I mean, he's not the main character, but he's probably one of the two main characters, and he is sent to visit a teacher that he once had, a professor at a university that he never got along with because she was just cuckoo and everything. She liked to make college students think. She liked to test their brains not surgically, but test their brains, scientifically, philosophically, and religiously, which wasn't something that was in the norm of her subject of teaching. And she was a cosmologist. And so he would always, have his little fit with her, like, I don't understand why she's even saying all this or why she's doing this. And so when he is sent by the headmaster, because he's like the new favorite, he just graduated college, so he gets sent to work with her, to visit her and work with her. And he doesn't understand why, because they're incompatible. And so with her, he tries to get along with her, tries to challenge her thoughts, and she challenges him. So it's like it follows those two. And it seems like when the novel goes further on, it's more based on Nestor's. That's her name, actually. The main girl's name is Nestor, and the guy's name is Varnamhauer. And so she has to undertake a prophecy that she is destined to reveal the truth of the world and the universe to the humanity.
Oh,
That she is supposed to fight back against the boundaries that are set in science and religion and the government, trying to how would I describe it? Trying to make an awakening, and so it rebels against those forces. And of course, she's going to be targeted in this novel, as she is going to find out the pieces in cosmology, science, astronomy. She's going to find out anything to put pieces together, even uses mythology, Greek mythology, to put pieces together. And so she's rebelling also against the gods. She's rebelling against, heck, even God. And so that's where that's going to lead. And Varnamhauer has no choice but to be part of her mission, because they have a magnetism to them that they don't understand. And Nestor is more vulnerable to it. Like, she doesn't understand it, but she knows that she has to have him around. Like, he serves another role into that. So
oh.
that's me trying to keep it down,
Yeah.
not spoiling it.
Well, I like the delving into history to get answers for now, because there's something in the past that can answer the questions that she's looking for right now. I always like stories like that. That's kind of cool, because I love like the mystery behind it. It's like, this thing happened in the past. It's somehow connected to right now. Wait, how is this connecting? And just figuring that stuff out.
If I could ask a quick question here, you mentioned David Lynch as an influence, which kind of makes me want to ask, because I know where David Lynch is on this. Where are you on the whole paradigm of the death of the author, the idea of not liking to answer questions about what this means or what the you know you know you know what I mean by death of the author, right? I mean,
So you're saying, let me see if I get this, that the author is not
so
represented?
the
What do you mean?
idea being like, okay, for example, David Lynch has very oftentimes been asked, what some element of one of his stories meant, that was really
Mhm.
trippy. And he might say a little something, and the interviewer will push back and say, would you like to extrapolate or, expand on that? No, I would not, because, I've put my work up on the screen, or I've put it into
Yeah.
the book or whatever, and I don't want to expound on it. I want you to. That's considered the death of the author. The idea being that if the author dies, the author isn't around to answer your questions. So
Right.
pretend I'm dead.
Mhm.
Ask yourself those questions as you take in the piece of work that I did.
Right. Or as Troy brought up about another author, it's like they wrote a book a certain way. They can't
Mhm.
come
Right.
back later and go, well, I meant for this person to be like this or this person to be like that. That's not how
Which
you
I
wrote
see a
them.
lot of people doing these
Yeah.
days.
That's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
how you wrote them. That's not how you wrote the story. You can't now come back and say, this is what I meant. Well, that's what you meant. That's how you should have wrote your story.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
any thoughts on
Yeah.
that in your writing style?
That is basically what this novel is all about, to make you to make you actually think about it. And because I know people are going to ask me, and that's why it's what I'm excited for, actually, if this novel does do well, or if it's semi decent well. If people come and ask me questions, and I'll just say, well, what do you think? Or, who cares what I think? I have my own personal feeling to this, but that does not mean that it's yours. What is your intake into this journey? What is your intake? And I wanted to ask the question. Only if there was only one question I would ask a person that came to me with a question: Is Nestor? Do you see her as a hero? Do you see her as a villain? Do you see her as a teacher, or do you see her as a messiah? And why? And that's basically what I want to do with this. Like, this is something broad. And if I was actually had a pre-reader who read the actual full novel while she was on her journey to help a client, traveling with a client, and she said it was unlike anything she has ever read because it had mythology, it had philosophy, it had science, it had everything. And it was unlike anything she's ever read, unless she hasn't read any books like that. But she was saying it could be ahead of its time if it turns out that way.
Based on the synopsis that you gave, just that little bit, I would describe her as being a seeker. She's seeking knowledge. She's seeking understanding.
Well,
You know,
I think another question that I would have to ask myself then, given that you ask, whether I see her as this, or this, I would first have to ask myself, what does the character see herself being?
oh,
See,
good
you
thing.
gotta answer
Yeah.
that question, and that will possibly inform your own decision. Or do you disagree with the character's own opinion of herself? Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
but do you? So, how long have you been working on this?
So yeah, the writing process was a year, almost a
Mm-hmm.
year. And now the editing I started since January. It's kind of a pain right now. I'm on part two. It's divided into 4 parts. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on part two, trying to fill things in, trying to add a little something there, subtract something here, trying to make sure everything's perfect. So I'm hoping I'll be done by this summer, I think, hopefully. I try to put myself on a strict deadline, but
So, goal of publishing by end of the year?
yeah, by the end,
Wow.
at least by the end of the summer, at least, if the editing process is friendly.
Nice. Now, are you going to be self-published or are you going through a publishing house?
I'm going to publish on Amazon independently.
Okay, awesome. It's like we have some other author friends that have done that, and it's worked for them. So it's like more power to you, you know.
Yeah, I, I just hate if cancel culture gets me. You're just like, okay, you shut me down. I did something right. That'd be funny.
Yeah. There you go. And hopefully we can get you back then.
Yes,
When you're at the point of release, we can specifically
promote the
focus on
book.
the book and get traffic over to the Amazon site. Um, so you've told us what this story is about, but I know that you like a lot of different things: films, shows, music,
Yeah.
all kinds of nerdy stuff, as you have said.
Mm-hmm.
Um, tell me, what are some of your other influences and songs, shows, films that you really love?
Okay, wow. Well, let's see. In terms of writing, another influence would be Clive Barker with his horror
Wow.
moments. I love Clive Barker. I even love watching his videos on YouTube. When he talks about writing, when he talks about things, it's to me it's beautiful. Obviously, David Lynch. Obviously, Anne Rice. I think she kind of influenced a bit with with the whole vampire, witches, demons thing, and as well as Buffy, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which was a great show of its time. And I think that inspired my first script that I was writing. Because I had actually thought of a story at age 12. It was so weird, it hit me. And it made me think I really want to be a writer. I did not write that story or script till I was 17. And I actually made a series out of it, a first season. I have the other seasons in my mind, but I haven't written them out. But it was called Daughter of the Devil at first. It was more in depth into my own perception what the demon world was, how the politics was where it was and everything. It was kind of like that, and I think that also kept me going. And I think after that one, I started doing Twin Peaks fan fiction. To be honest, I did not know David Lynch until after I watched Dune. Dune was my first movie of David Lynch that I was like, who is this? I want more. I love that film. I don't care what anybody else says about that film. I love it. The Spice Diver edition, and I haven't seen the other editions yet, but that's just a beautiful, it's beautiful. And I think after that was Blue Velvet. Then I went to Twin Peaks. Then I went to other David Lynch films. And I just thought, the before I watched The Return, I was thinking in my mind what would happen right before that happened. Like, what was the gap between season 2 and season 3? And that's what I was trying to do with my fan fiction. I didn't want to be cheesy, doing if Cooper had a romance with Audrey, all that. No, I wasn't going to do that. I wanted to write my own perception, what are my own thoughts of how things were in my mind of how I computed the whole series. And then I watched a little bit of The Return, and I started filling gaps in. And it was like, it actually became a big hit, actually. It was surprising to me. And what else? I know Star Wars. I wasn't much of a Star Wars fan until lately with the controversy of it all.
Yeah.
It wasn't until then I just started thinking, okay, I think I need to appreciate this a lot more, what's going on. And that's the whole, I don't want to get to that controversial topic,
Right.
but
Sure.
let's see. Star Trek was another. I think I was more introduced to what's the word for it? The younger interpretation of the original characters. That trilogy. I don't know what that's called, but that got me into Star Trek, and I started watching other Star Trek. The original with Shatner, which I love. I adore Shatner. Long live Shatner. And I have a lot of influences. I think my first film I ever was in awe. I was like 7 or 8 when I watched it. It was Alien, the first Alien.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver.
Right.
A bit too young to watch that, but my God.
Possibly.
But I loved that film, and since I was raised in a household that loved horror films, I got into the horror aspect of things. I loved horror. I think horror is my favorite genre of all time. I believe horror comedy is the best comedy besides rom-coms. I hate pure romances. Don't get me on that. But yeah, horror could have been more, and also an influence as a whole. And so that's what probably encouraged me with storytelling. And I think Lord of the Rings was amazing. Pirates of the Caribbean was amazing. That led me more into adventure. We were not going to talk about The Hobbit. I'm disappointed in The Hobbit. The first Hobbit, I will say, is the best of that trilogy. I just think the other two just did not follow the book as the Lord of the Rings trilogy did. That's, again, another topic. Why am I talking about that?
We just a couple weeks back, I did a viewing for members of my channel. We did a viewing of the Hobbit, the fan edit called the book edit, where it took all 3 movies and edited it down to about a 4.5 hour, very succinct telling of the Hobbit as close to the book as possible. It cuts out as much of the extraneous characters that didn't exist in the book as possible, and keeps the story very much to The Hobbit, you might really actually enjoy that. I
Yeah.
did want to mention you brought up horror, and in particular Clive Barker. That one actually surprised me. I haven't seen that in a lot of the stuff that I've seen you do. But I wanted to key in. You were talking about horror comedy specifically, and I was wondering if you've ever considered this. I've heard other people mention this, especially people that are in the film and writing fields, that horror and comedy are very similar from the standpoint of understanding timing, timing in telling a story. There's a build up to a scare, and there's a build up to a laugh, and they are both very similar, and they work very well together. When I think of some of the things that almost are the scariest, they're also the ones that make you chuckle a little bit along the way. It's very weird to watch, for example, Nightmare on Elm Street and hear, Freddy Krueger, crack a one-liner, and you're like, ah, and then it's just and I
Best
don't
laugh.
know, to some degree, I think Clive Barker has that too. He has far less comedy than a Wes Craven does,
Mhm.
but Clive Barker, very very deep stuff. I was literally just last night talking with Age Boomer on my channel and saying, I think we are way past due to do a stream about Clive Barker's Hellraiser,
Yeah.
and if you are a Hellraiser fan, maybe you might like to join us for that when
Yeah.
we get around. I was thinking about waiting until October, and now I'm thinking there's really no reason to necessarily wait until the Halloween time
Yeah.
for
And
something
when I
like
get
that.
to H, I'll be showing Hellraiser. So
Yes, that's absolutely right.
I'm
So,
only on F.
how many of the Hellraiser films have you seen? Have you seen them all, or just the key ones? Or
I just stuck with the first two. The first two are the best for me. I get skittish when it comes to the rest of the series of any slasher or horror series, because the reason I did that, because I loved the first Nightmare on Elm Street.
sure,
God, I loved it. I love it as much as I love Hellraiser. I'm torn between which two I love the best. But when I watched the second Nightmare on Elm Street, I was so disappointed. I was like, I don't know if I want to risk the others, because even Leprechaun was the same way. I felt like,
yeah,
what the heck am I watching? This is more comedy than anything. This is just not even comedy. I don't even know what to say of it. So it
yeah.
was just like I got skittish,
I
towards Hellraisers.
In a more general way, we've talked about this in regards to like Friday the 13th and so forth. We recently did a good old days on Geeky Geezers talking
Hmm.
about a specific one of the Friday the 13th because the lead actress had just passed.
Yeah.
And we were talking about that series a little bit. And I pointed out that what happens with this, it's the same that happens with all these genres. You mentioned Star Wars, Star Trek, and so
Hmm.
forth. When you have a production team that starts something out and then it's taken over by someone else, they always invariably want to completely undo what's gone before and do their own thing. And unfortunately, that's literally destroying. It's no longer the franchise that the fans loved, and you lose the fans. Hellraiser is a very different animal because it does seem like at least the first four books, first four films did their best to kind of stay within a canon or genre, if you will.
Hmm.
Everything thereafter, well, up to a point, is Hellraiser in name only.
Yeah.
It was other horror films where they just inserted Doug Bradley as the Hell Priest, just to put the Hellraiser name on it. I do have them all on DVD because I'm a completist, but they all kind of stink. If you think of them as a separate B horror film, they might be enjoyable, but don't think of them too much as Hellraiser. But then later on, um, the last couple in the series actually started getting back to the lore of the Cenobites and so forth. So you might actually enjoy them. I am still on the fence about the last one, the one that Clive Barker was involved with, that was kind of a reboot, not really a remake. You know what? We can. I think we're going to have to do that stream some night, and maybe you could join us for that. That would be a lot of fun. But
Is that the same series where somebody ended up playing Pinhead and the original guy got all bent out of shape about
yeah,
it?
yeah. We'll talk about that. And there's a lot of fans that were like, Doug Bradley only as Pinhead. And I'm like, I understand your sentiment, but at the same time, if you tie any character to any actor,
Yeah.
you immediately limit yourself in what you could do. I mean, look at Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones was meant to be a character like James Bond, somebody that you can recast from time to time, keep them young, keep the stories going. There's no reason to tell the full arc and then watch him get old and die. It's, just saying. But anyway, I
So
did
Andy,
notice. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
okay, you can go on. I was interrupting you.
As I was getting ready for tonight's stream, I was going through your socials and whatnot, and I did notice, and you mentioned it too, being a big Buffy fan. Can you speak a little bit to the influence that Buffy and the Buffyverse had on you?
I mean, the Scooby Gang?
The Scooby Gang, yeah, exactly.
Well, let's see. I think first of all, what really got me into it was that I never went to high school. So I know in cinema or in television what they show in high school is fake. It's not really as it is. But to me, with that show, it just resonates with me because I never went to high school. I felt like I was with this girl, this teenage
Yeah.
girl going to high school, first day, and you get vampires and stuff like that, and you're running away from it all, and you have no choice but to have your destiny as it is. But it was just the high school element was amazing. The horror aspects, like who wouldn't want that in their high school? I mean, I know it's terrible; the kids are going to get killed, but just to be that woman, like everything is relied on you, and you feel that pressure because that's what high school. You feel that pressure in high school, and even though I never went to high school to feel that pressure, I kind of felt it naturally from that, and especially bonding with the other characters. Like I love Willow. I felt with Willow, I felt like her because I love to read. I love to be educated on anything. Loved magic too. Sadly, I can't be a witch, but unfortunately, that'll be hopefully sometime.
Yeah.
And then you get the I hate to cuss on the stream. I'm not gonna say it, but you get the
You can cuss as long as you don't take the Lord's name in vain. That's my only
okay,
rule. Yeah.
okay. You get the you get the bitchy high school cheerleader girl that's gonna pick on you. She likes you at first, and then when you're friends with people that she doesn't like, get away. And I kind of felt with that with online presence. I think online was more my version of socializing and knowing the hoops of things. And so I've been through that. Like I've been through the kind of person like, oh, you're so cool. And then when you're hanging out with somebody or you defend somebody, you get outcasted. So that's how I felt with Buffy and that relatability, according to Cordelia Chase. And Xander, you always get that the simping guy that's always going to go go drilling for you. That's always going to do anything for you, and you never have that feeling, and you feel sorry for that person, like And then of course you got the Dark Knight, the Angel, who I hate.
Right.
By the way, I hate Angel. Oh, Angel Rage. I do not like a mopey man. I thought he was cool at first. It's like, okay, who is this steamy, dark, handsome man? I am interested. And then he starts being mopey, and I'm like, Buffy, get out of there. Leave.
No,
That's
but
my
what do you
view.
think about Spike?
That's a topic for an oh.
I, I have to wonder if you hadn't considered this, just as you were describing your feelings about Angel. You said, "Oh, when he was dark and mysterious, he was interesting." Then, as we got to know him and found him to be mopey, I just, not so much.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to cross the streams this way, but going back to David Lynch, David Lynch was very much like that when it came to mystery. He said mystery is never meant to be solved. It's the journey that's the fun part. Once the mystery's solved, the story's over.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe there's a little bit of that feeling there when you're thinking about how you feel about Angel? Yeah or no? You hadn't thought
Oh,
about it.
Angel.
Okay, you just don't like him.
To
That's
me,
fair.
I just thought, yeah, I just thought Angel was just a pathetic excuse for a vampire man. I mean, I know he's cursed. I get that, but you can move on. Like, I know you killed a girl like 100 years ago, but life goes on. Like if I guess I didn't understand maybe the concept of the curse. Maybe if I had it, I'd be moping too. But it's just to me, I just thought, no, you don't want a moping guy that
Yeah,
you love.
I
I
agree.
think I only loved him when he turned evil, right after they, done it, when they done it on her birthday, before he left, and he just went evil. I loved his evil, but then when he got changed back, I was like, gosh darn it, you just ended the
I
show.
You
You
also
ended the
mentioned the
character.
whole. Oh, sorry. You also mentioned the whole cheerleader thing. Makes me wonder. Have you seen the original Buffy film with
Oh
Christy
yeah.
Swanson?
Oh God, yes, I actually did a watch along stream of that recently or a few months ago.
Have you ever considered that she kind of was uh, a Cordelia Chase type of character at one time before
Yes,
Mhm.
being saddled with being the Slayer? Her character changes in a very natural way. I don't think people appreciate it. I think they think,
they
oh,
don't.
they completely rewrote the character when they went to the movie. No, no,
No.
no. She's moved to a new school. She's reinventing herself, but it's kind of necessary because she lost almost instantly that naivete, goofy teenager girl thing and took on the weight of the world in a way. And
Yeah,
I think they introduced Cordelia to be this is what Buffy might have been had she not been the Slayer.
Well, they need to have a
yeah,
mean girl in there.
Well, and you
You
do. You
know,
need
that
to
too.
have the mean girl. That's right.
you need to have that one person at least that would always conflict with them, and
Right.
it's like try to put down the Scooby Gang and all that. Like you guys are all pathetic, and it's like yes, but you're just
Yeah.
vapid.
Vacuous. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly right. No, I
Or
get it.
jealous too. I mean, like all the guys are flaunting and flaunting themselves to Buffy, and she's like supposedly Cordelia's supposed to be the popular girl. But I admit I appreciated in the series, the Sarah Michelle Gellar series, they did show her in the LA high school. Like they showed her how she was when the guy told her, like you're chosen or whatever. And she's like on her lollipop or something. She's like, huh?
Yeah.
It like to me it was like we got to know that side of Buffy, like how she was in the first in the film. And
Mhm.
so and then it goes fast forward. So I always kind of wondered if those two are really connected, those two films, even though the first film is cheesy as heck, but it's an amazing film for what it was. Yeah, I get what you're saying, with and in fact, fun fact, I don't know if you know it, but that actress for Cordelia Chase in the series was auditioning to play Buffy, and Sarah Michelle
Oh
Gellar was to audition for Cordelia Chase. And
wow,
That's interesting. Yeah.
yeah, and I
didn't
think
know
even
that.
Selma Blair was also auditioning for Buffy and Katie Holmes. And then I think after I'm not bring my I lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. But anyway, but yeah, that's what happened. It was like Josh Whedon saw Sarah Michelle Gellar and he was like, "We need her. She is Buffy." And
Mhm.
since he liked Charisma Carpenter, he cast her as Cordelia. So it's swapped basically.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I think I hear about that all the time, and yeah, I mean, I think about the castings that I've heard about for Superman, for Star Wars, and so forth, and I think, my gosh, how different those films would have been. Not only is it unimaginable, but you're like, no, if Robert Redford had been Superman, there is no way we would
Robert
still
Redford?
be. Yes,
Really?
No.
yes,
Yeah.
there's no way
Okay.
we would have
No.
be still talking about that movie all these years later. Have been like, yeah, well, that was a movie that happened. you know
I'm
Robert
Superman.
Redford would be too old.
no, think about it, this was 77. Remember, he's not
Yeah.
he wasn't that old back then. He was,
Uh,
yeah, exactly. But anyway, yeah.
I mean, I think of Robert Redford in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. You know, like that type
Yeah,
of
that was just a
era.
few years before.
Really?
Yeah.
Because he seemed old then.
Well, he seemed mature. See, and that's the thing. You do want Superman to be mature, and I don't
Yeah.
want to get too much into the corn sweat trailer that we've seen recently. I'm very much on the fence about that one, but I do think that modern writers have a hard time writing mature characters. Um,
Yeah.
I think this may even go back to what you were saying about Angel. I do feel like Angel is a character who should be one of the most mature characters, and he's really
Mhm.
not. He's
He's
lived a
not.
long life, but he hasn't
Spike was
gained the wisdom that one would expect. And in fact, that is, I think, one of the biggest problems I see in the whole vampire genre is you want someone to be an old soul. I think the only place I've really seen them get it right was the original Highlander film, where
Okay.
Connor
Yeah.
McLeod is he's got a little bit of broodiness, but he's got the kind of broodiness of a life weary type person who's been around for hundreds of years. And then when you see the flashbacks, he's a very different character, and I never get that from vampires. It's, I don't know,
Now,
just my
see,
take on it.
in Buffy, I was a little weirded out that um, Angel just seems so much older than Buffy, who was a high school student, and
Yeah.
he was more college age. And it's like, yeah,
Same
she's a
problem
little
with
too young for you,
Twilight. I have the same
you
problem
know?
with Twilight. It's like you
Oh,
are
don't get me on that. Oh,
hundreds of years
I was
old,
never on
but,
that.
but you still live as a teenager. That's creepy and disgusting. I can't. I just
Hmm.
can't.
And going to the same high school to graduate is like, why would you do that every year? Why? I don't get
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And this guy is in her bedroom at night watching her sleep without her consent. This is freaking creepy. Like, you don't go, oh, that's so romantic. No, 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 no. If I saw a guy that I knew from school who was in my bedroom staring at me when I'm sleeping, I am throwing him out the freaking window. That is
I
what's
get it. No,
happening. I
that's just it. And I think that's what I'm getting at with these modern writers. The writers are immature, so they don't know how to write mature characters.
Uh,
They have, I don't know, social issues that they haven't worked out, and so it's coming across like that. No, I think that sums it up perfectly. I think you have a brilliant insight on exactly that kind of stuff.
Yeah, toxicity too.
Actually, you mentioned Anne Rice too. I think Anne Rice had it down much better in
I
writing
Oh
her
love her
yeah.
books.
vampires. Um, I mean, they had their issues too, but they were the kind that you could understand after hundreds of years still struggling
Hmm.
with, and so on and so
Hmm.
forth, especially in the circumstance they're dealing with of trying to deal. You also have vampires dealing with vampires, so they're on the same level. There's a whole lot less of the
Yeah.
relationship with the humans and whatnot. But I also think that's another great example of something that works really well as a novel in writing that does not translate well as a film, because honestly, I don't like the idea of a child actress playing
Yeah.
what's supposed to be a mature adult. Yeah, okay. I don't even want to go too far down that you get what I'm saying. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway.
Yeah, that's
I
really
forgot to tell you
Mhm.
before I forget.
Mhm.
Another horror film that really inspired me, and I can't believe I forgot this legend. John Carpenter, and I love John Carpenter's Thing. I love both
Thing. Yeah.
the original. The original is timeless. I watch that all the
Sure.
time. It never gets old. It's horror. It's grotesque. It's for the aesthetics as it was back then. It was spot on, beautiful to me. It was like this was like at its peak of its time. And then I like the prequel film that came recently. I know people are mixed with it, but
Mhm.
I actually like it for what it is. So I think it's a good sequel to watch back to back. If so, I forgot to mention that. I love John Carpenter, and I love his vampire film too with Cheryl Lee. That's a great film too. If you want to talk about vampires.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I actually just saw that fairly recently and was I didn't even realize Cheryl Lee was in it, and I was like, wow, that's actually pretty amazing. But yeah, you can't talk about the thing without talking then about Lovecraft,
yeah.
because I think it
Mhm.
really does. That's it's very clear that that sort of cosmic horror was exactly
Yeah.
what Carpenter was drawing on. And actually, if you're going to talk about the thing, you got to think you got to also talk about Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy. So it's the thing, Prince of Darkness, and At the Mouth of Madness, all of which very clearly have Lovecraftian themes. I mean, they could almost be Lovecraft stories in a modern setting. Um,
Yeah, I can see that.
I actually did rewatches of all three of those films on my channel way back in the day. We'll probably have to revisit those sometime. But I take it then that you're also a bit of a Lovecraft enthusiast as well.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't until I started sharing my writing to people, to friends, like way before I got to meet you guys. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. Thank you
Oh,
for
thank you.
supporting me and bringing me on here. But yeah, when I introduced my work to a friend first time, I was nervous. I was like, this is, do I trust this person? And so when they read it, they were like, Ash, are you into Lovecraft? And I go, I have never read a Lovecraft story. I mean, I've heard of him, I was aware of him, but I never never took the time to read his works. So he's just said, Ash, you write like him. Like
Mhm.
you almost embody the spirit of Lovecraft along with Barker and heck, maybe even David Lynch, that you can embody that of probably other classic authors. He even said Stephen King, which
Mhm.
I like Stephen King a bit, but he was saying mostly Lovecraft. And so that's what inspired me to, okay, I want to check out a Lovecraft story just to see what he's talking about. And he was right in terms of how I'm more outside of this world than the typical, same old that we always see. It's like it's bringing that spirit back. Like he's saying that if you don't get seen or you don't get acknowledged, there's something wrong with this world, basically. And I don't know if he's just saying that just to be, nice, or if it was true, but I really hope with I did release a
Mhm.
short story, and I have many short stories in stock. And I released one and I published it on Coffee,
Mhm.
which you pay for
Mhm.
my God, I forgot the price, $3.99, and it was a short story that was very Lovecraftian, sci-fi horror, and he was saying like that's the story that was most Lovecraftian to him, like it was beautiful to him. So if you haven't checked
Oh,
that one out, feel free
Mhm.
to, because it's a very short story, like 15 pages or 14 pages, not counting the title page. I'll be honest with that. But yeah,
Um,
Lovecraft, I can see.
are you going to put together a book of all your short stories for sale?
I might, yeah. I need to write a few more because I never really considered writing short stories. I always had, ideas in my head all of a sudden, and I would write them down, but then I forget about it. But then I started thinking what David Lynch always said, like, always write your things down. If it's in your head and you love it, write it down, even if you dream it. Otherwise, it makes you want to get, you know what he said. I don't want to
Yeah.
put that on your stream. You know what he said. Like, it makes you want to put an end to yourself.
Yeah.
If that's to put it that way. So, yes, that's what I've been doing lately. And so I'm just thinking, and I have the scatterbrain. Like, I write something, and then all of a sudden another idea pops up, and I go, I have to write it. I have to write what I can of this. Then another idea comes up, and I'm writing that down. So I have like probably a dozen or so projects that are unfinished. And so it was just like, okay, I need to get my mind a track on one thing, finish it, and then go to the next one. And so my first short story I released, Stargazer, was the first story I actually completed. And so I was like, okay, if I can do this, I can do the full novels. So I had to decide between the novels I was writing. I chose Truth Seer Odyssey, which I finished. And I was like, okay, I finished this now. Now I need to edit it. I need to finish it, stay on track. And once it's published, then go to the sequel or other something, whatever else, stick to it. So I am trying to get my mind, you know,
Right.
hardwired to just do one thing at a time, write ideas if I have to, but don't just go scatter everywhere and go free for all because I'll never get anything done. So that's a struggle for me, but I'm trying to push
I
onward.
kind of know what where you're going on that, because I'll do that with things. It's like I'll start one thing, and then it's like it reminds me of something else, so I'll start doing that thing, and that will remind me of something, which brings me to something else. And it's like, wait, I need to get back to the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I fully understand that.
Totally.
And Troy, were you going to ask another question?
Well, no, I just you brought up Stephen King, which made me wonder if you'd ever read any of Dean Koontz's work.
Yeah, I read one book. I hated the ending, but I read a book called TikTok, which I thought was an epic book for what it was. And I thought this could be a good film. Maybe there is a film out, I don't know. But I absolutely hated the ending. I felt like the ending was rushed to me if you have not read the book.
Yeah. If you're going to read
I
Dean
just-
Koontz, read a book called Lightning.
Yeah, Lightning's actually really
That
good.
is a fantastic book.
It's
one of my
Okay.
favorites of his.
It's a time travel story, but I don't want to ruin it for you. There's a big mid-story twist. Maybe not even mid-story. Maybe after the first third, you get a twist, and you realize that the story is not at all what you thought it was. But I think you're probably right. The ending is fine, but it again, like you said, it did seem a little rushed. Not in a bad way. I mean, you get a resolution, and that's fine. But it's like, man, I feel like this almost needs a sequel, or it needed a little bit more expansion at the end. I would have liked to have known more, which I suppose is probably not a bad thing to say about a story. If it leaves you wanting more, that's always a good thing. The thing I was going to get to about Dean Koontz, though, was I feel that he's very similar to Stephen King in a lot of ways, except Dean Koontz tends to do, not always, but tends to do his stories more almost sci-fi, whereas Stephen King is very clearly supernatural. You know,
supernatural horror.
Don't be mistaken. Stephen King has some sci-fi, and Dean Koontz definitely has some supernatural. But I just feel like, that's how they tend. It's just my thought. And actually, Dean Koontz has had a couple of good story series that were turned into movies. I'm finding out more and more about them as I go. The movies don't tend to do that well. And I'm like, oh, that book got turned into a movie? Oh, I got to go check that out.
Yeah, I find that in a lot of instances, the movies aren't as good as the books.
Usually not.
Because, like, in the book, you'll see this description of something. It's like, oh, that sounds really fantastic. And then when it comes to the movie, it's like, well, why didn't they show the thing?
Yeah.
Like, what is that? That's nothing like the way they describe.
You see it very clearly with David Lynch's Dune, where you see the shortcomings sometimes of the medium. In a book, you get to hear the inner monologue for all the characters.
Yeah.
David Lynch took that very literally and has this, the silent character with the voiceover of the whisper of their inner
Mm.
monologue, and people have had very mixed reactions to that. And I'm like, well, as a book reader, I totally get that, I totally understand that. And so many other people are like, well, that's weird, that's goofy, and it's like, well, then
No, you're being privy to their
I
thoughts
don't
and
know
they're
cinema.
doing a thing, they're
yeah.
moving along and it's like, I have to be careful going down this corridor because, I know that there's a guard at the end
Well,
and, or, whatever it may be that they're thinking about that time.
and so the argument I've always heard is, well, you need to find nonverbal ways to communicate that stuff. And in general, that's true. It's very different in Dune when you have a world where the exposition that explains the world is in the people's thoughts. You don't get, the details of the Bene Gesserit and what Paul knows about them from a look on his face.
Yeah.
He's got to say it out loud for you to know. So anyway, just
Yeah.
my
And of
thought.
course, I want to be conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's coming up on an hour. So, do you have anything coming up that you want our listeners to know about so they can make sure they tune in?
Well, there were some scheduling issues on the other interviews I was planning, so I don't know if I'll be doing those anytime soon. I might. We'll see. I have to talk to the people about it. I was hoping to do an interview with Glenn Lawrence sometime. He's an actor, ex bodybuilder.
Wow.
He has experience in, I can't remember what it was. It was a prison guard, I think. I can't remember if that's exactly what it was. He has so much, on his resume. I also appreciate him because he's now teaching masculinity, kind of bringing masculinity back into society,
Nice.
while putting on his faith and stuff like that into it, like being a Christian man.
Yeah.
So he's excellent. I adore him. Another one is Brucifer, King of Nerds, which I don't know if he'll come on the show anytime. He might. He might today. I have to ask him, or tomorrow. He talks about comic books and comic culture and entertainment
Oh,
news.
cool.
He's amazing. And let's see who else. There was somebody else, but I had like interviews. Oh, Star Wars guy. I had the Star Wars guy to talk about Star Wars, and he had some scheduling issue. He's not going to be able to make it this weekend, so I might schedule him in June. We'll see about that. I'm sure he has a lot of things to talk about, Andor, so we'll talk about that. Let's see. I might frequently release a lyric video here and there. I'm also putting out my family's songs that they do ones, So I'm putting that on my channel for lyric video and stuff. Let's see what else. And just editing the novel, trying to get it done, and
I'm
do
looking
frequent
forward to
streams
that.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to share that with you guys. And I might do a show after this recording.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be the new show I'm doing, the Nerdy Girl and Bros show.
Oh, cool.
And so I hope the bros I have will show up. But if not, I'll find other people can come on. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've got that going on, and I think tomorrow I might do Nerdaholic Crusader stream, which is a chill stream where anybody could come on, anybody. So it's a free for all.
Awesome.
So yeah,
Good.
that's what I have.
And as Troy mentioned, the links to all of Charlotte's channels are below, so make sure you click on those. Go over and subscribe if you haven't already. Show the love. Come on. And make sure you hit the notification bell so you can actually be there when these streams are happening and listen to the great music and hear the great interviews and all of that. And it's like, I know I'm excited to hear them. So thank you for that. Let's see. If you stay right here, you will be redirected to deleted scenes for his coming attractions. And then let's see. Tomorrow night we have Last Call. Any specific topic this week?
Yes, we are going to be, we're expecting to have a couple of guests, Mikey Souza 4 and Clifton
Love
3D,
Mikey.
and we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about fan films. I'm still kind of putting the as of the time of this recording, we're still putting together the outline. So I can't say specifically what genre of fan films we're going to be talking about, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good stream.
Fan films are the future.
I agree. The fans are doing the best work. They really are.
And then I believe this week is my week. So we will be watching Frankenstein Unbound.
Oh, good one.
That is a classic movie.
Good one.
I love that movie. I'm sure all of you will enjoy it as well.
Have you ever watched Victor Frankenstein?
Pardon me?
Sorry. Have you ever watched Victor Frankenstein? That film?
I don't think so.
With
There's a
Annie
lot of Frankenstein films out there. Yeah.
There are a lot of Frankenstein movies out there.
Feel free to check that one out with James McAvoy and Jenny Radcliffe.
First looking it up right now.
I've just pulled it up. So yeah, I'm going to have to watch this. Interesting.
Okay. Sorry I interrupted you, but I thought I'd...
No worries at all. Sunday over on Geeky Geezers, y'all have a topic besides the usual good old
considering we haven't even gotten through the next one, I can't even speculate. But
well, you might have an inkling of something.
I don't because we go by what the news is for the week, and I don't know what the news is going to be for next week. So,
and let's see. Then we have Monday night members only Monday night.
Members night at the movie is the way we do it, and
on Troy's channel.
And I don't have as of now. I don't have a. Again, we're a week early on this, so we haven't even gotten through the next one, which I'm scared. It looks like it's going to be. So for those of you that are watching live right now, this was last Monday. You'll know what the movie was. It was probably Bad Ronald, because that's where the poll is right now.
That's not what I voted for.
We'll see what happens, and I'll decide within this week what's going to be going on the following week.
And then Tuesday will be Sparkwind 21. I don't think we have a topic yet.
No, and then followed by the next episode of Blake
7. Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see, and then nothing on Wednesday. Thursday of next week, the
following week after the day this goes live. Yeah, exactly.
I don't currently have a guest, so if anyone is interested in being a guest on Thursday Things, just drop me a DM on Twitter. I'm happy to have you on.
Absolutely.
Or maybe you're just passionate about something and you want people to know about this thing that you're really excited about. Let me know. I'd love to have you on. We can talk about it. If it's like, maybe it's your own artwork or something, you can show your artwork, you can share your music, you can share whatever this thing is that you're really excited about. I'm happy to have you on. It's like, I just love the different things that y'all come up with. So yeah, I would love to have you. So drop me a DM. So that brings us, like I said, right around again to Thursday for Thursday Things. And that is all I have for that. Charlotte, any final words?
Oh, thank you for having me on. I was honored, and this is my first time being interviewed, so I'm glad it went well for what it was. I hope to come on again soon sometime, maybe when that book is done.
Oh, absolutely.
And I appreciate you guys' support and your kindness and everything. You guys are awesome. Keep being Osmo. And
thank you. Of course, I had that icebreaker at the beginning where I dropped the water all over myself.
Yeah. Shows you're human.
Troy, any final words?
No, I want to thank Charlotte so much. It's been so much fun having you as a part of our community. Yep. You kind of just, just appeared, and it was kind of exciting. You brought a great deal of light and fun to the chat. I super appreciate that.
And of course, y'all know what I always say. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you to our guests for being here, first and foremost. And yes, I do definitely want to have you back when you have your book ready to publish, so we can promote that for you. But in the meantime, y'all know what I always say. We can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well good and fun. It's so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat and you're dropping your comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. It feels like we're all hanging out in our family room, passing the popcorn, having a great time. And you guys, you know you're not just our friends. You are our family. We appreciate you so very much. And we appreciate you coming here, encouraging us, encouraging one another. You guys are Osmo. You know that. And I want to also thank you for the many ways that you support our streams and our channels. The thumbs up, the comments, the super chat, super stickers, sharing it out, whatever it is that you do, becoming a member. That is so helpful for our channel so that we can continue putting out good content for you that you're going to enjoy, helping us to update our equipment so that everything's better for you. Because we don't do this for us. We do this for you. And we want you to keep coming back and enjoying yourself. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of our family. Remember to stay right here to be redirected to Deleted Scenes channel. And until next time, good night and God bless. Bye.